gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
Welcome to today's episode. We're diving into a fascinating and somewhat troubling topic. Why is so much federal purchasing data virtually unusable?
Yeah, it's surprising, right? You'd think with all the resources the federal government has, their data systems would be airtight.
You'd expect that, but apparently, a lot of the data is incomplete, inconsistent, or just plain wrong.
I read that federal agencies spend billions every year, but no one can really track where all the money goes because the data is so messy.
That's wild. Imagine buying a car and not knowing if you paid for wheels or just a steering wheel.
Or buying a pizza with no idea if you're getting toppings or just crust. But seriously, why is it so hard for them to keep accurate records?
Good question. Part of it is the sheer size of the government. There are thousands of departments, each with their own way of doing things.
But shouldn't there be a standardized system? Like one template everyone follows?
In theory, yes. But in reality, agencies use different codes, formats, and even definitions for the same things.
That sounds like a recipe for disaster. So if someone wanted to analyze spending on, say, office supplies, they'd have to wade through a swamp of mismatched data.
Exactly. And that's assuming the data is even complete. Sometimes entries are missing key details like vendor names or amounts.
That must make accountability nearly impossible. How do they catch fraud or waste if the numbers don't add up?
They often don't. Auditors have reported that it's like searching for a needle in a haystack, except the haystack is on fire.
Sounds like job security for auditors. But seriously, this has real consequences, right? Like taxpayers don't know where their money is going.
Absolutely. And it undermines trust in government, too. If the records are that bad, how can anyone feel confident in oversight?
I wonder if part of the problem is outdated technology. Are they still using systems from the 90s?
In many cases, yes. Some agencies are still running software that predates smartphones.
That's kind of funny, but also terrifying. You'd think with all the innovation in the private sector, some of it would rub off.
You'd hope so. But government procurement is notoriously slow and complex. Updating systems can take years.
And by the time they finish, the new system is already old.
Exactly. Plus, the transition itself can create even more data problems.
So it's like trying to fix a leaky boat while you're still sailing it.
Perfect analogy. And everyone's rowing in different directions.
Do you think part of the issue is a lack of incentives? I mean, if no one gets rewarded for cleaning up the data, why bother?
That's a big part of it. There's very little personal accountability. If a data entry is wrong, it's just another line in a spreadsheet.
And with so many people involved, it's easy to pass the buck.
Exactly. There's also the issue of training. Not everyone knows how to properly code or categorize purchases.
So even if someone wants to do it right, they might not know how.
Right. And sometimes the systems themselves are so confusing that even experts make mistakes.
It reminds me of those old video games where you needed a manual just to get past the start screen.
That's a great comparison. Except, in this case, billions of dollars are at stake.
Do you think moving everything to a centralized digital platform would help?
It would make a big difference. A single, user-friendly system could reduce errors and make oversight easier.
But I imagine getting every agency on board would be like herding cats.
That's the challenge. Each agency has its own priorities and legacy systems.
Plus, there's always resistance to change. People get comfortable with what they know.
Absolutely. And high-profile failures in past modernization efforts don't help.
Wasn't there a case where the government spent millions on a new system that never worked?
Yep. Those stories make agencies even more cautious about big changes.
So what's the solution? Is there a way to gradually improve things without overhauling everything at once?
Incremental improvements could help. For example, standardizing data fields one at a time.
Or rolling out training programs so everyone's on the same page.
Exactly. Even simple changes can have a big impact when scaled across the whole government.
But who's responsible for making these changes? Is there a central authority?
The Office of Management and Budget oversees federal data policy, but enforcement is tricky.
So even if they set the rules, it's up to each agency to follow them.
That's the problem. Without strong incentives or penalties, compliance can be spotty.
It's like telling kids to clean their rooms, but never checking if they did.
Great analogy. And then being surprised when you find socks under the bed months later.
I wonder if public pressure could help. If taxpayers demand better transparency, would that force action?
Possibly. Media attention and watchdog groups can shine a light on the worst offenders.
But it's tough to get the public fired up about data entry.
True. It's not exactly the most exciting issue, but it affects everything from spending to national security.
Maybe if people realize just how much money is at stake, they'd care more.
We're talking hundreds of billions every year. Even a small percentage of waste is huge.
That's like finding out your bank lost track of your mortgage payments.
Or your favorite pizza place forgetting your order every single time.
So what about solutions from the private sector? Are there best practices the government could adopt?
Definitely. Many companies use automated systems to flag inconsistencies in real time.
And regular audits to catch problems before they snowball.
Plus, clear lines of accountability. If something goes wrong, someone's responsible.
That's often missing in government. With so many people involved, responsibility gets diluted.
Exactly. But change is possible. There are examples of agencies that have cleaned up their data successfully.
Really? Any standouts?
The Department of Defense made significant improvements after a major audit revealed serious gaps.
How did they do it?
They invested in training and new technology and set up teams to monitor compliance.
Sounds like it takes both people and tools.
Absolutely. Technology can help, but you need people who know how to use it.
So we've got a long way to go, but it's not impossible.
Right. It's a marathon, not a sprint. But every step forward matters.
I guess the big question is, will we ever see a day when federal purchasing data is fully reliable?
That's the dream, but it'll take sustained effort and a shift in culture.
Maybe one day we'll look back and laugh about how messy things used to be.
Or maybe we'll just order another pizza and hope they got the toppings right this time.
Before we wrap up, what's one thing you think would make the biggest difference?
I'd say real accountability. If agencies faced real consequences for bad data, they'd shape up fast.
For me, it's transparency. The more people can see what's happening, the harder it is to hide problems.
Good points. Maybe a combination of both is what we need.
Definitely. And maybe a little bit of patience, too.
Thanks for tuning in. If you have thoughts on today's topic, let us know. Until next time, keep asking questions.
And keep an eye on your own spreadsheets. See you next time.
Thanks for watching. I'm Nancy, your AI avatar. If you like this podcast, you can get one for yourself based on a website, YouTube video, or any source. Contact me to get a customized quote for your content. See you soon.